Hello there, and welcome to the Bit of Peacock. It's my channel where we talk all things Leeds United. I'm, of course, George. Welcome to the channel, everybody. I'm a less frequent poster nowadays on sort of pre-recorded stuff. Generally, I do me talking Leeds on the channel with Aaron. It's streamed onto the Bit of Peacock, but I don't do that many sort of match reactions, match previews at the moment. Just haven't got the energy, to be quite honest, at the moment. But hopefully next season I'll be back to, regardless of what division we're in, week in, week out, if you like. I've been trying to think of different ideas to how to revamp the channel and get some different ideas into the channel. But yeah, I'll jump on when I can, and this is one of these times. I've got this my own platform. I've worked hard to build it up to what it is at the moment. So I've got this platform to speak my mind on Leeds United, and yes, I haven't done in recent times, but this is one of those times when I want to come on and say my piece about this Brentford game. Post match thoughts on the Brentford game, which ended 0-0 at Elland Road this evening. A really odd kick-off time of 8 p.m. on a Saturday night. Very strange timing. We know they do these now. The Premier League occasionally have a Saturday evening 8 o'clock game, and ours was it this time. And having to wait all day for it, obviously we doing other stuff. We're not sat at home twiddling our thumbs going, is it 8 o'clock yet? No. But, we're having to wait all day, and we see not many other, most of them play tomorrow, don't they, as of recording. There's that big Spurs and Forest game, and obviously West Ham play Villa. So we're hoping for some results go our way in that way as well. But I'm just disappointed with how it's going. I think I spoke last after the Villa draw, which ultimately was disappointing in the fact that we lost it late. We gave a goal late on. Tammy Abraham equalised in the last few minutes. A win there would have been great. Obviously, we haven't won since the Forest game now at home in early February. It's now 6 games without a win for Leeds United, given that 0-0 draw at home this evening. And it's a couple of weeks break now. We've got the international window, obviously now England play, don't they? Congratulations to Calvert-Lewin on his England call-up. I think we've got 12 senior players playing senior international football over the next sort of couple of weeks, I think it is, isn't it, overall? Then we've got the FA Cup against West Ham away, and then we're back to action in a sort of, is it 2 weeks on Monday or something like that, or 3 weeks on Monday maybe, is it? I think it's 3 weeks on Monday, isn't it? With Man United away, which is a really difficult game. Obviously, Leeds will be up for it, but will they get any points again from that? If we don't, that's 7 without a win. And what I'm really frustrated about is Daniel Farke is going one game at a time and thinking 1 point. Okay, one game at a time, absolutely fine. But he's going one point at a time. It's like every point is a point gained. Is it really? What about being a little bit more braver on the ball and braver in attack, working the ball quicker and getting 3 points, because you're doubling up your points tally. You're getting there quicker with wins. We could have won the game on last Sunday. If DCL puts the penalty in, I believe we win the game. Obviously, we know the farcical situation with the referee. Swings and roundabouts in the end. Tonight, Brentford, I know they're a good. I keep people say, oh, they're a good side, Brentford. Yeah, they are. They're well oiled. They're well drilled. Keith Andrews done a great job. I think the 7th position or something like that. But they certainly didn't play like a 7th position side. They were happy. They matched us up formation wise. They happy to sit in and just and soak up the pressure. We weren't really that good in the first half. We didn't have a lot of pressure. on the ball. We didn't have a lot of pressure on their goal. I thought a lot of our lads, including the back lads, Beal, Strauch and Rodon, all looked like they look really, really nervy. They look really, really nervous. I thought James Justin had an awful game. Probably one of the worst I've seen him play for Leeds, really, because he's been smashing up more often than not. But he was awful tonight. There's Bogle wasn't much better. They just look tentative and nervous, and you can understand it because it's a high pressure game. They will have felt the pressure on the field from that, seeping into it. The crowd seemed kind of quiet as well. You had the big lad Igor Thiago, who's obviously just been called up by Brazil. Congratulations to him. Everybody knows I follow Brazilian football with my Talking Brazil Ball podcast, and fair enough. Because I'll be keeping an eye on Brazil, obviously with the World Cup and stuff. And Igor Thiago is a danger, but he wasn't a danger tonight. He's a big lad, and I think some of the balls we got a little bit fortuitous with. I thought Jacoby All didn't really handle him that well in a way. I thought Pascal Strauch and Joe Rodon looked a little bit nervous. Joe Rodon ended up, in particularly the second half, playing a little bit like a right wing back, wasn't he, really? I just thought he was a bit tentative, a bit kind of negative. Slow possession-wise, too slow to build up. I thought Anton Stack also would fall into that category of a little bit slow, a little bit tentative. I think first half, Ethan Ampadu really looked like the one who really seemed up for it and seemed to be, quite industrious with his running and his tough tackling, and I thought he was all right. But other than that, you look through the whole team and you think, other obviously than Carl in the goal, you think we weren't at it quite. We looked nervous, even though they didn't really offer too much going forward in terms of attacking threat, even though Igor Thiago is that big man up top that can just score a goal out of nothing, really, if he gets the service. He didn't get the service, obviously, at all, and he was the man peeling out wide sometimes to put the crosses in, which is, from our point of view, very good. That's what we want, because if he's out there, he's not in the box to head the balls in. But, yeah, I thought they'd offered very, very little the whole game. And they were quite happy just to sit in and probably take the point. It's a much better point for them than it is for us. But I think we just need to go. We need to go for teams more at home. Move the ball quicker. Just move it quicker, because they were happy to sit in, and it just became a little bit formulaic, a little bit sort of, we're going to do this now, so make sure you're ready for it, kind of thing, instead of catching them off guard and running it quickly. I thought, again, like I said, James Justin, some of the balls he was putting in were just horrendous. Like first time he was pinging it, and just have a, take your time, look up and pick out a pass. It just wasn't the game today, and I feel like Farke is quite happy. He'll be quite happy with that, I think. Just to take a point every single game. But the football is just, it's not good. And he's not doing himself any favours if he wants to keep the job for next season. Regardless if we stay up or not, I think that we need a change in the management. It's just too defensive. It's too cautious at the moment, particularly at home. Some would argue that's a must-win game. It might be, depending on the results tomorrow. You look back on it, you might think, home games, every single home games, we need to be bang on it. And we weren't on it today enough. Defensively, we were absolutely fine. They offered nothing, really. And at that, like I said, I thought, the three guys in the centre-back positions looked pretty nervy. I'd extend that, like I said, as well to maybe Jaden and Justin on the wings, and you know, yeah, and he hasn't changed it at half time. Me personally, I know he waited till midway through the second half, threw Noah on and Dan James later on, but be a little bit more. Say right, it's not working. This we need to go for them. We've got 45 minutes to do it, not 10, 15 minutes to do it. We've got the whole half to do it, and we'll go for it. Instead of right at the very end of the game saying, actually, let's go for it. Let's go for it. And I think that's maybe, him sort of appeasing the fans in a way, saying, look, I'm going for it. I'm putting Dan on. When really he's quite happy to just sit in and take a point. On another day, he wouldn't have made that sub because the other team might have been pushing a little bit harder. I think Brentford were very happy just to take that point. They're having a good season. I think Keith Andrews has done a marvellous job. They're having a really good season. But we're in trouble. It's a couple of weeks. Get them in. Get them. Obviously a lot of them are going on international duty, but hopefully a lot of them come back injury free, and we go into Man United. Obviously needing a win. I mean, depending on the results tomorrow, if the results go for us, ideally we want a draw with Spurs and Forest probably, and you want West Ham to lose. And I think that puts us 4 points above the relegation zone. So in that sense, it would be a point gain. But, you can't rely on the other teams. You've got to get this job done for your own self. And I think he's just too happy just to sit and get draws. It's an incredible amount of draws this season. Because if you look at it, I think we've drawn something stupid like 10 of the last 17 games. Something like that. And you just think, what the heck? You know what I mean? Be a bit more proactive, be a bit more on the front foot, and be a bit braver on the ball. Get your team to be a little bit braver on the ball and say, go and win it, lads. Go and win it. This game, we're at home. Like I said, make the subs at half time. We were marginally better in the second half, only marginally. There's a little bit more urgency to play than in the first half. But you start the game right like that, you win the match. Because I don't know what it is, but he sets the team up in the mirror of himself, and that's okay, lads. We're happy for a point here, but if you win it, then fair enough, good. But if we don't win, then that's fine as well. And that's not the elite mentality you have going forward into to be successful in the Premier League. That's a mentality that you have to hover above the relegation zone as we're doing at the moment. And then, maybe staying up sometimes, but you'll go down eventually. So we need to progress as a football club. And I feel like it's going one way for me. And that is, Fark needs to be replaced at the end of the season. I always say, oh well, if we lose a game, then off he goes. But I think you've got to make the point, make peace with the fact that he's not going to go. At the moment, I think they're going to see the season out with him. What is there now? 7 games left. They're obviously going to see the season out with him, really. But I would hope that the right decision is made, regardless of relegation or not, at the end of the season, because we're just not going anywhere. It's turgid. It's slow. It's just not good football to watch, and that long term is just not what you want. He might be happy with sitting in for a point, but we're at home. Why not go for it from the start? You hit them hard, and you go right. Even if you don't score, you set the mentality for the game up where actually we're at it now. We're gonna go for you, and we're gonna get you, and we're gonna get those 3 points. Instead of it being a little bit, just aimless a lot of the time, passing it back to the goalkeeper, sideways passing, slow to move the ball, slow to pick a pass out, aimless long balls going forward, not really hitting a man, that sort of thing, and just be happy because they're all right defending. And on the plus point of it, I know 10, 15 minutes to talk about a plus point, but it's clean sheets. I think that's 2 in a row now. So defensively, there's not much of an issue generally. I think it's just more attacking wise that we really need to see more. Obviously, we haven't scored for 4 games now, and yeah, we just need to see a little bit more. We need to see more. We need to, but it all starts from the manager's mentality. I think he think, well, obviously we don't concede, we're getting a point, but I think he's quite happy just to sit and get points until the end of the season. He'd probably be happy with 7 more draws. 7 more draws would take us, to 40 points, would it, I think? And that, that's probably what he's aiming for, but it's just not good. There's too many tonight that were ghosts, that were invisible in the game, DCL, Nemecha, Aronson, all of them really. Stack, I don't think he had his best game. Most of those lads in white on the pitch tonight were ghosts and weren't really, we're just cautious to take the handbrake off a little bit and go for it. I'm not saying it's easier, obviously said than done, but it's a Premier League. Every single game will be difficult, and you've got to make your peace with that. You've got to break these teams down, particularly at home, and they didn't do it. And they didn't do it tonight. They didn't do enough, and I'm not okay with that really. And apart we didn't lose, yeah, of course. And if you can't win, don't lose. But you can't just draw every single game because it'll come back to bite us. We've had opportunities to win that game. If you're a little bit more brave on the ball, you move the ball quicker, you have an opportunity to get yourself in a position to, goal scoring positions. And we just didn't do it tonight. And it's just a mirror of Farke. He's happy to sit in. He's happy to get a point. You're a mirror of your team. And we need better. We need to progress as a football club, not regress and have football like that at Elland Road. No, it can't happen on the long term. That I feel like yes, we might survive and it might be enough to do that. But ultimately, we need to progress. We can't be treading water above the relegation zone all the time. And that, for me, just needs a managerial change. And hopefully that will happen at the end of this season. But I'll end it there. Thank you very much for watching again. If you've tuned in, thank you for joining me again. Like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to. Marching on together. Give me your thoughts in the comments there below. Any Brentford fans watching, everybody's very welcome. Leave me your thoughts in the comments there below. You're making a weekend of your trip to Leeds. Let me know, everybody. Marching on together. I'll see you on the next one.